everybody, and welcome to episode 87 of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes for this episode on the corresponding episode thread of the This Old Knit podcast group. So, it's been, it's my regular week. But it's an extra day because usually I record while my husband and kids are at the gym. And yesterday they did not go to the gym. My husband went to the gym, but he didn't take the kids. So I'm recording today instead. But it's my birthday. Yay! So, yeah, it's kind of a big one. It's my 40th birthday. So I'm very excited about that, but we're not really doing anything super special. My husband did go to the store with Joshua, so he's going to get a cake, and we'll have cake and probably some kind of nice dinner, and just spending the time hanging out at home. I did a little bit of cleaning in Megwin's room this morning, just trying to purge a little bit of stuff and really get it cleaned up because Joshua has been upstairs playing with her, which is fine. He's actually been doing really well coming upstairs and playing with her and not destroying anything, but a lot of stuff was out just all over the floor. So I've tried to clean that up a little bit. Take a drink. Sorry, I had to lift it over top my book. The desk behind me is a bit of a mess though. I need to work on my my crafting area, but I had everything up here for doing the podcast yesterday, and then that didn't happen, and then my husband and Megwin were building their Legos up here, so they moved everything over onto my desk so that they could do Legos on the play table, and so now it's just chaos. So did I throw all my FOs in here? I do have several FOs to share with you this week. And I don't have any administrative stuff to go over, so I am just going to jump right in. So I have 4 FOs, but the other one, I don't know the state of it. So the first FO is my husband's socks, the blue striped rag socks. I knit if you'll recall, I knit a pair for him, and they were 2 different lengths. So I knit another one of the shorter length, and then I knit another one of the longer length. So he has 2 pair of the same yarn, but in different lengths. And I did finish the longer pair. They were the final thing I finished in 2017. Oh yeah, and Happy New Year, everybody. I don't think I've done a podcast since the new year. Okay, I'm gonna have to move this book. I'm gonna spill tea on it if I don't. So Happy New Year. I have my coffee warmer back here. Thanks, Meg, for that great idea. It's really good for when you're podcasting. Then your tea is hot. So I will try to insert a picture of those here. Nothing really special about them. They were vanilla socks, 72 stitch count, heel flap and gusset, and a normal wedge toe. So I completed 4 pair of socks for my husband last year, and I'm hoping to do that many again, maybe this year, maybe 1 more pair, but his take quite a bit longer than mine do, so yeah, we'll see. Joshua actually needs socks. He only has 1 pair. Megwin has 4, my husband has 4, and Joshua has 1. He just has the camping socks, the ones from the I Like Burning Things With You leftovers from my husband. I will not be knitting him blue stripe rag socks because I am sick of that yarn and I don't want to see it again for a long, long time. So that is FO number 1. FO number 2, and going to my Stasher Shelf challenge for 2018. I'm trying to knit either from stash or use a pattern that I already own, or both. And so I finished these. Funny story, as there most often is with my objects, I had to about here done on the first mitten, and I ripped it out, and I was going to use Kristen's tutorial for knitting color work one-handed, so continental. I started doing it and I didn't like it. I was really, really slow, and it frankly hurt my brain. And I'm pretty fast two-handed, so I ripped it out again and worked it normal two-handed stranded color work, and I finished these in 2 days basically of knitting. So let me show them to you. So these are knit out of Isle Yarns DK yarn. I purchased it from the Woolly Thistle if you are interested. Megan's playing a game in the other room, just so you know. The gray color is Shell Track, and the burgundy color is, I believe, Cranberry, but I'm not certain of that. So it is a rustic wool, and this pattern is the Mebonden mitten pattern from the Selbu Mitten Club. It looks like they're not the same length because I have my sleeves. I assure you they are the same length. So this was the first official pattern that Ellie released as part of the Selbu Mitten Club. She also released her just Selbu mittens that she had designed about a year prior. As part of the club, you just got those for free. So I had not knit any of the mittens from the club, but these were my first ones that I knit. I love that if you hold your hands together, that middle flower right here becomes a flower. So I used a size 6 needle throughout. I actually didn't use a smaller size needle for the ribbing, just because I didn't want to. The thumbs have these really pretty flowers on them as well, and the pattern from the palm continues onto the mittens. I love these. I love them so much. I'm so happy with how they turned out. And I'm a little bit obsessed with stranded color work now, especially mittens. So I immediately cast on for the Flora mittens, and I will show you how far I am on those. They would be an FO as well, but I ran out of yarn, my main color. So, FO number 1, these were stash and shelf. So this yarn I bought in anticipation of the club. So I think I bought it in like September, and then you know, I had the Selbu Mitten Club. As soon as Ellie released it, I bought it. So it's part of my shelf prior to 2018. So yeah, stash and shelf. FO number 2. FO number 3 is technically stash from my definition, but I recently got this yarn. So I bought this yarn in December. At Tuesday Morning, they had some balls of Patton's color wool, and I showed this on the last podcast, and so I finished it. This is the Chubby Brioche hat, and the only thing I haven't done is I haven't made a pom-pom yet because I can't find my jumbo pom-pom maker, and I want a really big one for the top. So it looks a little bit weird. It's kind of dented in because you take a bunch of stitches and pull them together, and I feel like when you do that with more than like 8 stitches, it does weird things. I don't know. But there you go. It's super warm. So this is a super bulky or super bulky weight. I knit it on a size 9 though, because the pattern is very, very flexible. Brioche, if you've never knit it before, your gauge tends to be a bit looser. So where I normally would knit this type of yarn on like a 10.5 or 11, I tried that and it was so huge that it was just my head was swimming in it. So I ripped it out and went down to a size 9, and it's good. So that's what it looks like. It gets rid of my pigtails, so it looks like I don't have any hair. But I really like it. I like the colors. It's got a lot of colors in it. This reminds me a lot of like Mexican murals, and the colors in one of my host family's houses. This was like the colors in my host parents' kitchen. Very bright, fun, festive colors, and terracotta and stuff. So anyway, I really like it. It ended up striping, which I was surprised at. So this was a full skein and a teeny bit of the next skein. So I think I was up here before I dipped into that second skein. So I have most of a second skein. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But it was $3.99 a ball, so whatever. I might make a hat for Joshua, because I probably could make a hat for him out of my leftovers. So that's FO number 3, Chubby Brioche hat. This was only a stash object because I did buy the pattern to be able to knit it. But I highly recommend the pattern. It is really good. There is a great tutorial that I used for the brioche decreases. It's a YouTube tutorial because I did think that the way they were written out in the pattern was not very clear. So I will put a link to that in the show notes as well, so that if you do decide you want to knit this, I would highly suggest watching those tutorials. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the person, but check the show notes if you are so inclined. The last FO I actually just finished today. So I cast this on yesterday, and oh my god, it was addictive. I could not put it down. So this is the Winter Crown Mitten, the Winter Crown hat by Arctic Knitting. I knit it out of Volanvine yarns in the Vamp Mist colorway, and Moonstone Dye Works in the Christmas on Mars colorway is my contrast. So the Vamp Mist is in Kristen's Smitten DK base, and the Christmas on Mars is on Tommy's Polworth DK base, which is the first time I've used that base. So you can see, oh, I love all the speckles. Speckledy speckles. And it's a really rich, deep wine color. And this is the best part of the hat. It's this really beautiful star on the top, like a starfish. Reminds me of a starfish. Isn't that gorgeous? I just finished blocking it. So I completed it this morning. Like I said, I knit 90% of it yesterday. I just did the crown decreases today. Otherwise, I finished it. I did everything up to here last night before I went to bed. So, whoops, it does not want to go on over pigtails. So there you go. If I didn't have pigtails, it wouldn't be weird, but I do. So, Winter Crown. This is stash, but not shelf. Again, I bought this pattern in January because I knew I wanted to make myself a new hat for my birthday. So I did complete it in time for my birthday, and it's perfect, and I love it. So that is all my FOs. That's quite a lot of FOs, right? And then, I'm going to do kind of a mixture because I've got a crap ton of stuff sitting around. And some of my whips are actually buried underneath of presents because I got some birthday presents. But let's show you this. Okay, so the first whip I'm going to show you is my Feather Nest Raglan. This is a pattern by Amy Miller. It is definitely stash and definitely shelf. So it was in the Winter 2014 Interweave Knits issue. And it is a top-down raglan. It has short row shaping for the collar. And it's actually worked in the round, so I can't put it on now, but it does lay very nicely. And I like that short row touch to make the front come down a bit. And then it has an all over texture pattern, which is these really pretty bees. So I did the collar in a size 8, and then the body is in a size 9. It's not that bright of a red. It's actually kind of a darker red. But I don't have any red hand knit sweaters, so I'm excited about that. The yarn is Deep Stash from 2013. This is Knit Picks Full Circle, worsted. Knit Picks Full Circle worsted. It was a yarn that is 100% wool, but it's all kinds of different wools. It's a recycled yarn, so it is using all of the leftover mill waste, mill ends to make it, and it's a single ply. I'm sorry, it's blowing out on the camera here. Oh, yeah, there we go. So you can see the construction of the yarn there. It's a very soft single ply. It is non-superwash, and I have, I think, 10 balls of it. I bought it knowing that I wanted to make a sweater out of it. I had bought some of the bulky, and I made a baby sweater for Joshua, the baby latte coat. And then I purchased more before they discontinued it. So it was when they were doing special reserve yarns, where every month or maybe every quarter, they were doing a different base of yarn, and then it was just there until they sold out, and then that was it. They weren't going to have any more. I'm really sad I didn't buy more of this because it's amazing. So I might actually hunt some up on a D-Stash. There's a couple people that have it in D-Stash in sweater quantities. There's like a tomatillo color that's a greenish gray. And then I think I saw somebody had a blue. So anyway, I might hit them up for that. That is that. I'm not super far along. I'm just starting to do the raglan increases now. It's not a hard pattern, but you do have to pay attention because it uses the same chart. It's like a really small chart, but it uses the same one for the sleeves and the front and back stitches. But every other round you are adding a stitch, and then the next row you have to incorporate that into your chart, and they start at different points. So I may actually just re-chart it, like copy the chart and make one of them specifically be for the sleeves and one be for the body, because it's kind of confusing me. It's not terrible. It's not hard to rip it out. It's just a knit and purl pattern, but I don't know. On it, I have my Sucre Miniatures Funfetti cake that I got from my mom for Christmas, and these really fun, I think they're Katrinkles wooden stitch markers that I got from Kristen when we exchanged Christmas packages with each other. So I love them. I think it's a set of 5, so I have 4 of them on here. They're perfect. They're very light and nice. I like her stitch markers a lot. And it's in my bag that Sarah from Lovesock Wool gifted to me at one point, and I love it. So that is WIP number 1. WIP number 2. This is in a bag from Miriam, who's Dutch Wool Diva, which actually has a needle. Put that in my pin cushion. That does not belong in my bag. It's got like a fun floral print on it. So this is actually a pattern I just cast on this morning. So I cast off my other colorwork hat and I cast on another Arctic knitting design. So this is Lilletind. I'm not going to pretend that I'm pronouncing that right. It is a colorwork hat done in fingering weight. So the one I did is DK weight and this one's fingering. But I did again have yarn for it. One of them is really deep stash and one is fairly recent stash. So it's got a snowflake pattern on the bottom here under this tree line, then a nice tree line, some snow up above, and then the top, the crown decreases, form like a giant snowflake on the top of the head. So I'm really excited to see how that one turns out. And then the yarns I'm using are Tuku wool in a navy blue color, and Lollipop Cabin rustic sock, organic wool rustic sock in rock climbing at Mount Pilchuck. This was a gift from one of my really good friends, Gwen, I think before I moved from California. So I definitely have had it in my stash since about 2007. So it's 11 years old, 11-year-old stash. It has really, really gorgeous sage, white, some grays, and an icy blue. So I think that'll be perfect for the contrast color. Get all the different colors of ice and snow worked into it. And I don't have very much yet, so I'm doing the brim on a 2.5, and then I think I will go up to a 2.75 or 3. I'm not sure yet which one I'm going to use. It's pretty boring right now. Just ribbing. I think maybe 2.75 because this ribbing looks gigantic. I don't know. This looks so big. Looks humongous. So I think I don't want to go too much bigger than that because you also increase stitches before you start the color work, and I don't want it to be really baggy. So I don't know, I'll see. Since that one I did a 4 and a 5. No, I did a 4 and a 6. Yeah, no, I did do two different millimeters. Oh my god. I went up 2 sizes. So this was a 4 and this is a 6. And I've knit all of my mittens so far by Ellie on a 6. So that seems to be a good gauge for me with DK weight color work. So I'm sticking with it. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, I haven't really worked on this. This is a Spark of Gray. But I haven't done anything on it since last time I showed you, so I'm not going to show you. I just grabbed all of my bags. I told you it was very disorganized. I was just trying to get up here. Aha! My next one, I hadn't cast on yet when I showed it to you because I did this for my New Year's Eve cast on. So this is the Cheers yarn by Jinx Yarns in her sparkle base. You can kind of see a little bit of sparkle there. And I'm doing the Vanilla Bean sock pattern by Emily O'Grady. I thought about doing this vanilla and I last minute decided I was going to do the Vanilla Bean pattern, and I'm so glad I did because I love it. I love how it's turning out. Awesome. So I think I'm going to do the heel in this kind of foresty green color. I have some plain that's that color. So I'm going to do just a solid heel in that color. And these are for me. And I'm only on the first sock, but I knit pretty much all of that on New Year's Eve. Okay. Making sure I'm not smashing things. Haha! My last whip. Not by choice. This is the other set of mittens from the Selbu Mitten Club by Skein-Deer that I cast on. So I cast these on as soon as I finished the other mittens, the Mevonden, and these are the Flora mittens. And for these, I was using Blacker Yarns Classic DK in purple and mustard. So I ran out of purple. Didn't run out, but I basically ran out. This is how much I have left of the purple. But neither of these have thumbs. So I have to buy another skein for thumbs. Darn it. That's okay. I have a ton of the contrast color left. This is my contrast color. So I'm curious if I maybe got a shorter yardage skein, or if other people had that same experience with running out of your main color. I don't know. I probably could finish one thumb, maybe, with this, but I don't know. And if I'm going to go to all of the trouble, I want to actually work the thumbs as they're intended to be worked. They have this beautiful little flower on them, and I want them to look as perfect as they were intended to look. So I don't want to just knit it in gold or knit it a different color. So I just ordered another skein, and I actually put in my notes to seller. I asked if she had any of the same dye lot by some chance, and if so, I would love to have that. Otherwise, since it's the thumbs, it would probably be okay if it wasn't the same dye lot. At least I got both of the hands out of one skein. So this one has been blocked, and this one has not been blocked. I'm not sure if you can see the difference there or not, but this one is definitely much smoother. This one is a lot bumpier. You can tell on the palm. This one is blocked, this one is not. You can definitely see the size difference. So it did increase the size. The unblocked mitten, you can see like there's extra that sticks out here. So you can see there like how bloop, it kind of goes in and all kinds of stuff. So I do block as you go, which is what Ellie suggests in her patterns, is to, like, as you're working, kind of put it on your hand and stretch it. So I do that. So it doesn't expand a ton, but it does grow a little bit. So there they are. Yeah, so you can see that length on this one. It's not as long, but it will be once it gets blocked. So I do need to block this one. I like to block them before I do the thumbs, because if something is going to stretch out when I'm picking, I'd rather pick up the stitches after that's happened rather than pick up the stitches and then when it blocks out, it's got big, huge holes. So I love them. I really do. I think that this combination of colors is really pretty. I was trying to go for them looking like sunflowers. I think they do. So, yeah. They're very warm too. These are a woolen spun. The other ones are worsted spun yarn. So I will be interested to see if there's any difference between the two on warmth factor. But 2 pairs of mittens. These would, like I said, these would have been done, but alas, no. Okay, is that all of my active whips? I think so. I don't even remember what's in this. Oh yeah, I do. It's where I put all my minis from Anna and my Gothic Ache socks, which I have not, have not worked on either. Okay, so I think that is it for whips. So so I will move on to gifts and acquisitions. So acquisitions, this is going to be a really fabric heavy section because I got a lot of fabric. So I was excited about Megwin being so happy about her nightgown, and my husband wanted some PJ pants. So I went to Joann's and they had all of their flannels 50% off. Plus I had a coupon. Probably because they're starting to get in their like spring fabric, so they're trying to get rid of the winter fabric, but it's still going to be cold for a while. Plus, I wear pajama pants year-round in the house, so I will get more use out of it. So I found this fabric for Megwin for another nightgown. Isn't it so cute? Mermaids! And then this one. It's like little aliens with cupcakes and cookies, and I guess there's not cookies, there's suckers and candies. And then for my husband, and I'm gonna make him matching PJ pants with Joshua out of this one, because I think Joshua will really get a kick out of that. He'll like it. And then this one, also for my husband and potentially for Joshua too. So a little bit less kid-ish. I have one more, but I didn't bring it up with me. So that is all I have of those. And then I went to a different Tuesday morning than I usually do. It is over by the fish store because I was trying to get more pygmy cory cats for Megwin's tank. And bloodworms for Harry. And they had a ridiculously amazing selection of fat quarters. I was also getting a little basket to put in one of Joshua's drawers to like separate some of his different clothing items to make it a little bit easier for us to look for stuff for him. So I got a lot of fat quarter bundles. So this one is the first one that I found, and it's a bunch of pastel florals. And then I found one that's a little bit more like Valentine's theme. So I may make some Valentine's bags. There's that. I love polka dots. And then this one is just more bright florals. This is actually, see, it has big flowers on it. Some leaves. These. Different colored leaves and flowers with polka dots. And these are more like, what is that called? Like China patterns? We've got those tones to them. They're very pretty. And then one that's super bright. Maybe for summer bags. Summer project bag. I love these. The fruits. And suns and flowers. Very fun. And the last one I got, I actually haven't taken it apart yet, but it is a giant fat quarter bundle. So this might actually be enough to make like a small quilt for Megwin. I'm not sure. But it goes all the way from a cream down through rose and dark rose, and then sage, chocolate brown, caramel, and then a really deep brown. And it's all kinds of different floral patterns and polka dots, and super fun. So even if I don't make a quilt for her room, I think this would still make a bunch of great project fads. And then I got a bunch of fabric from my mom destashing. So she had a big trunk of fabric, and she had my sister and I go down and pick stuff out. So I picked out, I remember this, seeing this when I was a kid. Definitely would need to be lined because it's very sheer, but I think it would make a very pretty lined sundress. And then there's this one. This one. This is like a linen. It's a teal green, but it's blowing out. I think this one would make a really pretty, like fitted bodice dress with a fuller skirt. I have a vision in my mind. And then this one is also a linen, so this color matches this color. So it could be fun to have like a shift dress with a jacket. Maybe for work. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. That is all the fabric that I got from my mom. I also got like some plain muslin and some lining fabrics, which I was seriously lacking, and I have a couple things I want to make that I need to line. So, then, oh, I didn't share the rest of this, but this is the other tuku wool that I got, and I actually purchased 2 more colors. Yes, 2 more colors when I bought more of the purple to finish my mittens. So this one is a darker than I thought it would be. It's called Anga. I thought it would be like a chocolatey brown, but it's a really almost black brown. So I was thinking of using this with my mauve color one to do the Ulabuk mittens from Skein Deer Knits. They're fingering weight, and they have like a deer on the back of them. Then I got this one. And this one. This is like a dusty cornflower blue gray mix. And then this one's more that tealy blue color. Whoa! Oh yes. Also at Tuesday morning, I found these. Teeny tiny tassels. So I got a pack of neutral and a pack of multicolored. I think these would make great zipper pulls. So I just need to get little lobster clasps to attach them to the bags. And I think they'll make really fun zipper pulls on my bags that I sell. And they were super cheap. They were like $1.99. Got some more pins because I needed more. And a set of stamps for Megwin to make stuff because she enjoys making cards. And so there's a unicorn, a cupcake, a castle, a glass slipper, a princess, and a crown. And I have like an acrylic block that you pick these up with to stamp. So, yep. Those will be very fun. What else? What else? I also signed up for the new Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Mystery Stitch Along for this year. It is a jungle theme. I forget what the actual pattern is called, but I bought their fabric and thread bundle. So it is going to be stitched on a, it is like, it's almost a mauve color. It's called Shale. It is not sparkly. And I also bought the little needle minder because, oh my god, it's got a tiger and he's so cute. And then little Jack is carrying a bunch of stuff for exploring. He's got a map, binoculars, and a compass. And Sugarloaf has a little explorer's hat on. So it all comes together packaged very nicely, and there's a little card in here that's a thread minder. They had a thread minder too that was like a big tropical leaf, but I already have my snowflake one, and I didn't really need to buy another one, but I do like the needle minder, so I bought that. And I got a discount as well, so if you're part of one of their stitch-alongs, then you get discount code to use on future stitch-alongs. So I did get a discount on all of that stuff, which is awesome. And then, oh yeah, I can show that maybe because I buried it. Oh, yeah, I'll show that next. I won an Instagram giveaway. I'm not going to take this out of the bag because it has Stellina or Angelina fiber in it, and I've found every time I take it out of the bag the sparkle like goes everywhere, and I don't want to lose it before I spin it. So Kim Dyes Yarn was doing a just random Instagram giveaway for this delightful hand-dyed and carded bat. It is Polworth Silk, Sari Silk, and Silver Angelina, 1.8 ounces, and I love it. This totally has inspired me to want to break out my drop spindle again. There's like a big chunk of Angelina right there. I am imagining like spinning this kind of bulky or thick and thin and making some really fun mittens with it and holding it double with another strand of yarn, maybe like a white. I think that'd be really pretty. So more to come on that, but I did just get that in the mail. And then I didn't bring the mug up, shoot. Cheryl had asked me during the Christmas time if she could send me something as a care package, because she was watching Vlogmas and she said, I know how hard it is to have 2 young kids and be sick, and I just want to send you something to make you feel better. So she sent me a mug, some pins, some stitch markers from Prince Edward Island, and oh my gosh, I'm such an Anne of Green Gables fan. I was totally geeking out about that. But she also has a knitting calendar, and so she was kind enough to gift me a copy of that, where she's releasing patterns, I think every month for the year, and she also included a little CD, like a little mini CD of last year's knitting calendar. So on top of all of that, she also is one of the in-house designers for Fleece and Harmony. So she said that I could pick 2 colors to make the first month's pattern with. So it's like a cozy pair of worsted weight socks that kind of look like traditional tube socks. So with the stripes along the top and then a contrast color heel and toe. So I went on there, and I'm definitely going to be buying more yarn from there because it's really cool colors. It's all sourced and spun, and dyed in on Prince Edward Island. And it's so soft. It's so soft. But it isn't merino. So it is not superwash. So I picked the colorways Bramble and Rhubarb. This one's Bramble. And it's a really deep maroon, like a blood red or deep wine color. You kind of see that right there. It's so soft. Just says it's 100% wool. But, yeah, so you can see they're sourced from our happy place on Prince Edward Island. And it is warm and fuzzy on the inside. So it's 150 yards. And then the other color that I picked was, and I gave her like a couple choices. I was like, I love all of these, so just surprise me. And the other one is Rhubarb. So it's like a lavender color. And I think what I'm going to do is main color, contrast color? I don't know. Going back and forth, which is why I haven't cast it on yet. And then whatever I've left, maybe I will have enough for colorwork mittens with a different yarn of the one I use just for contrast heels and toes, because I don't want to waste it. I don't want it to just sit there. It's going to have to become something. So maybe, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. Don't pretend like you know, Nina, because you don't. You don't know. So there you go. So thank you so much, Cheryl. That was amazing, and wow. Just wow. Okay. More to come on the knitting of that. I got to dig my box out here. So Jilly, who's vegan Jilly, was having a de-stash. Because if you watch her podcast, she did post on a blog post that she's not going to be podcasting for at least a while. She's having some pretty serious elbow pain that's keeping her from knitting. So as part of that, she was de-stashing, and I feel this weird responsibility to get all of Kristen's yarn and make it into beautiful things. And I don't know why, because you all want Kristen's yarn too. It's not like there aren't people that want to knit Wool and Vine. Why do I feel this? But I do. And especially because they were Jilly's, I felt the responsibility to make them be something beautiful. So she had 2 skeins of Stellar Banshee that she had started to knit into a shawl and frogged. So here they are. So I bought them from her. And I also bought her skein of the Yarn at Home Moms Gilmore Girls Club of 21 is the loneliest number. Do you sense a theme? Like, clearly I like these colors. Because I had a skein of it too. So mine is right here. So I also wanted to use those 2 together in either some sort of shawl or a sweater. I have not decided which I want to do yet. It would make a really pretty sweater too, with some contrast for the yoke, maybe. I don't know. I have a Sunset Highway pullover in my future, but it's not going to be these colors. I'm going to use my Dragonfly In for the main portion of the body, and then some other colors I've picked out for the yoke. But now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I have 4 skeins of Dragonfly In. I only have these 2. It might actually make more sense to do these and then use the Dragonfly In for a Zweig pullover, which I also am totally in love with, but it requires more yarn for the body than the Sunset Highway does, because the Sunset Highway has larger portions of color work. Well, now, crap. See what you all do to me. You make me have ideas. Okay. Whatever. So all of those are getting added to my stash now. But that's okay. I can knit a pattern that I have, and I will be fine. I have plenty of patterns I can knit those into. And then Jilly also included some minis for me. A needle cozy, which I don't have any of these. So I'm excited to try that out and see how it goes. It definitely would be nice to protect my knitting from the children. And it is from Slip Stitch Studios. It's typewriters. And it actually has like a pocket embedded in here for little notions. Isn't that amazing? So creative. I love it. And then a tape measure, because yeah, you guys know what happens with tape measures. It's a teapot. And a journal. And I love these kinds of journals. I love having them around to either write show notes in or write just things that I hear about that I want to look into more. So it says, keep a green tree in your heart and perhaps a singing bird will come. And it's got a tree on it. It's very pretty. So thank you, Jilly. I promise I will make wonderful things with the stash that I bought from you. I feel a maternal responsibility towards it. I hope I'm not showing anybody's address, but if I am, I will cut it out. Okay, so plans, knitting plans. Oh wait, no, more stuff. So for my birthday, I received 2 sewing books from my in-laws. So they watched Vlogmas. They stopped watching my podcast because they said as soon as she started talking about knitting all the time, we stopped watching. They're not knitters, I get it. They used to watch it for the grandchildren. So for all the stuff you guys probably get sick of and you don't want to see my children, that's all they were watching it for. So they were excited about Vlogmas. So my husband said, you should watch her Vlogmases because it's mostly about our life and not very much knitting content. So they did, and they noticed that I'm doing a lot of sewing. So they actually got me some sewing books. I had a bunch on my Amazon wish list, and so they got some from that. So the first one is this one by Oliver and S, and it is called Building Block Dress. So it is one base dress pattern, and then it shows you all the different ways you can modify it to achieve lots of different looks with the same essential pattern. So it teaches you a lot about alterations, and I thought that dresses for Megwin would be a really great way for me to learn about doing that kind of stuff. Smaller set of material, right? So this is the dress that it starts with. And then it just walks you through everything, like different kinds of sleeves, making a muslin, silhouettes, collars and necklines, and finishes, hems, closures, and linings. So those are all the different options that you can do. So I am really excited to dig into this. Oh, there's a whole section on pockets. So patch pockets, gathered edge, lined patch, inseam, front pockets with waist seam, front pockets with fold detail. It's so funny too because they don't even look like the same dress, but they totally are the same base dress. And yeah, it's got pattern pieces in the back. So it's printed pattern pieces, which I vastly prefer to working with PDF patterns. So it's got a little envelope of patterns. And yeah, it walks you through like Foley lining. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited about that one. It's going to be awesome. The other sewing book that they got me is Gertie's new book for better sewing. So I had Gertie's book of dresses, but I did not have this one, which is a lot more of a reference book. So when I looked at it, there isn't even a ton that I would maybe sew. Her sportswear and casual wear one seemed a little more like my cup of tea as far as what kinds of clothing I wear. But there is a really nice pencil skirt, an A-line skirt, a sundress. So there's definitely some stuff in here that I would sew. However, the bigger part of it that I really wanted it for is all of the information in the beginning. So this is chock full of reference material. Everything from sizing, sewing with contemporary patterns versus vintage patterns, prepping, so what tools you need, how to pick a fabric for a different type of design, and then techniques like seam finishes and zippers and buttonholes and hems, stabilizing and tailoring, yeah, and fitting. So there's just a lot of stuff, like even if I never sew anything out of here, it's a great book to just have for reference, because I've done a lot of just going and looking things up on the internet, or, you know, panic texting Kristen about what the heck does this mean? What do I do? She's my phone a friend. Thank you for being so patient with me, Kristen, because seriously, I bet I asked some dumb questions. But yeah, so it'd be nice to have a book too. I'm excited about that. Can you tell I'm excited? I said excited a lot. That's your drinking game for this week, Jessica. Drink every time I say I'm excited. Don't do that. You'd be so drunk. Don't do that. And the last one is a gift from my sister. So this is a book that Ellie recommended, or talked about at least, on one of her podcasts. And she said it's not necessarily about a lot of like one area patterns or being necessarily very true to a tradition, but and I have this Selbu Voter book, which is just a lot of Selbu mittens and gloves, but this one is so cool. It's got a lot of different mittens that they either found in museums and then they tried to reproduce, or yeah, there's just some good information in there, and I think they're all really accessible designs. So I don't want to show the charts, sorry. So let me see if I can find some to show you. This one, I'm not sure I would knit it with the cat, but I think I can move these down here or do another one of these guys from the top. They're in the middle. but I do like them. There's some rose mittens. Those almost look like they have a brioche cuff. And these, they have my name on them. They say Nina, because the author's name is Nina, but I'm going to say that they're for me. So I definitely want to knit those. Some more rose mittens. These I think would make really great Valentine's Day mittens. Is there a better picture that isn't with the chart? Kind of a crappy picture, but the other one has the chart on it. They're like a heart. So I'm thinking I might make those for Valentine's Day. They're called heart brooch mittens. There's just a lot of really pretty ones in here. And there's also cabled mittens, not just colorwork. There's another one where here's the one from the museum, and here's the one they made. There's also some child mittens in here. These are super pretty too. Yeah, I just love this book. So thank you, Missy. I will definitely be knitting lots of stuff from this one. There's the child mittens that I want to do. Because I think my kids would love to have some colorwork mittens. They would be a little bit warmer. They do have hand knit mittens, but sometimes they're not quite warm enough. So, I really like those too. They're so manly. I love them. So anyway. So that is pretty much everything that I had to share with you guys this week. I hear that my husband and son are back from the grocery, so I need to go down and help them with bringing stuff in and putting things away and eat my cake. So yeah, until next time, have a great 2 weeks, and I will see you again in the end of January.